There are a couple of points that I want to bring out about this. One is we're about to go around the sun again. And whether you are old like me or young like a lot of you, we never know what the future will hold for us. The only thing we know for sure, and barely, is the present. But, this year has mostly been dominated by, for me personally, experience of my parents passing away. I think they've been doing it now for at least the whole year. And it has happened incrementally so that just last week they were moved into a nursing home. For my parents, what I had encouraged and wished for among my brothers and sisters is that they make, because they live closer than me, is that they make every effort possible to see to it that this time in my parents' life was peaceful and as happy as possible. For each of us, as we go through our year, what kind of infantile, petty crap do we allow ourselves to get tangled up in with our family members, with the people, our co-workers, with, even the people on the street or the people we're driving next to down the highway? And to what end? We don't know how much time we have left. We don't know what this year will be. And the only thing, it's funny, we were having a discussion about control earlier this evening, and the fact of the matter is, most of us struggle with control, which is an issue that we have never been in charge of ever in our entire lives. We have control over nothing except where our awareness is. And that's it. We got nothing else. And the thing that really determines the quality of our life and the vibrancy of our intellect and our emotions is our capacity to bring our mind to a simple and fine place within our hearts and begin to live from that place within us with gratitude for our days, whatever those days bring. We allow so many useless tensions to bring out bitching and moaning in us about nothing, when the fact that we're alive at all is astonishingly profound. And not only that, we're alive in the United States and not in India, China, Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, or Rio de Janeiro. Like most people from my parents, like 99.9% of the people in my parents' generation, they lived in and still live in a nicotine and tar and nicotine saturated, sugar-coated, chemically scented, synthetic fiber wrapped world. 100% of the food they eat is 40% sugar. Fortunately, that's not the way most of us live. I hope none of us live that way. And moving forward into the future, this year and the next year and the next year, as the earth changes more dramatically than it's ever changed in the last 3 million years, we will be called upon to further explore, the possibilities for sustaining ourselves in a refined fashion in ever increasingly challenging environments. And we will only successfully be able to do that if we have liberated ourselves from the toxicity, not just of, tar and nicotine and sugar and all of the chemicals that saturate most people's daily lives. We have to liberate ourselves from the toxicity of our own insecurities so that we can find in our hearts a joy that will allow us to embrace our present and extend ourselves into the future in the healthiest way that's humanly possible. We have to learn to make contact with our hearts and hold that contact with our hearts until our hearts open and the joy that lives in our heart constantly, no matter where our mind is, can begin to be awakened and overflow the boundaries and the limits and the boundaries of our own, environment, and permeate the field of our experience with joy. It is that joy which is also the source of the inspiration which will allow us to face a very uncertain future, living in the finest place within us. Otherwise, we will degenerate into a bunch of, unpleasantness is probably the nicest word we can say about what we're facing if we don't. My parents are 89, and both my grandmothers lived to be like 95. Both my grandfathers shot themselves, in their 50s. I think that was because my grandmothers had a very hard time opening their hearts. Life was hard then. It's really hard to understand, that my parents and the primary cultural context that I grew up in as a child in Kentucky was the culture South, the post-Civil War South was what I grew up in. It's funny how long it takes for people to change. But my parents are quite old. They're 89. They've done okay. But now they come to the end of their life and they're like laying in hospital beds, they're blind, they're deaf, they're unable to move themselves. They can't even go to the bathroom. And, the one simple thing that they could have done, which would have changed everything for them at this moment in their lives, is they could have got up out of their lazy boys and moved their asses. And one of the fundamental principles of spiritual growth and total well-being that this place is anchored in is it's really important to honor and take care of your bodies. And while, the prevailing religious culture of the United States and, constantly tells us the body is the source of sin, being a contrarian from a very early age, I think that's total crap, and I think it's really important for us to take care of our bodies and respect our bodies. And so, going forward in the next year, I have two things to say. One is take care of yourself physically. The degree to which you take responsibility for your body now is the degree to which you are going to have a long and vibrant life. My poster boy for that, of course, is John Bonner, who has taken care of himself physically his entire life, even without me. He figured it out long before I came along. And I won't say, at over 90, John is getting ready to start writing his next book. The 29th book he will have written. But how extraordinary is that to be at over 90, to be still functioning, still vital. Lenore is another person who, of course, we just completely admire, showing us how it's done. And I know some of you are, in your 20s, and maybe a couple of you are in your teens. And you may wonder how relevant this is to you. Well, it's very relevant. It's very relevant. The degree to which you engage yourself in every dimension, physically, intellectually, and spiritually, you engage in your own well-being. This is the degree to which your life is going to awaken and expand and be filled with learning and love and joy. And this is the degree to which every year, no matter how long you live, the light of life itself will shine more brightly in you. It's hard to ask for anything more. I don't know about you guys, but I can hardly recognize the United States today. It hardly wrap my mind around all of the politics and the sort of cultural fracturing that has gone on here. And, I really hope it doesn't get any weirder than this, but it could. And so I think it's so important that rather than having that as the context for our lives, let gratitude for the breath inside us and the connections that we have, the wonderful people that we have in our life that care about us, that we care about, let that dominate our awareness and be our context. And let our efforts be to nourish those connections, to cultivate them more deeply, and to, really take responsibility for growing, a life that is rich and meaningful and deeply worth living. Because nobody else is going to do that for you but you. Nobody's going to define it for you but you. Nobody's going to manifest it for you but you. And that's really why you're here. Last year I think at this we talked about what the theme for the last year might have been, and this year I think my theme is move your ass with gratitude. Well, I have been moving my ass, and I am very grateful. We've had an amazing year. There's a lot that's changed here, and it's been fantastic. Merging together as a new team. The breadth of our teaching is expanding. The breadth of our programs is expanding. We have a lot of very interesting, very innovative programs that we're planning to develop strongly in the coming year. And I'm very grateful for all of that and grateful for all of your company. I hope we will really move forward from this moment into the coming year with genuine love and respect for our fellow human beings. Respect means that instead of being full of judgments about people, we appreciate that they are an expression of creative energy. And so, instead of having opinions and attitudes, we can be open and learn from everyone. And in learning from everyone, we can begin to be grateful. And being grateful, we will be joyful and aware of the abundance in our life, not the limitations. Being aware of the abundance will grow. If we're aware of the limitations, the walls will grow. It's your call. Our choices as human beings are really pretty simple. anyway, I'm looking forward to going forward together with love and respect for each of you and for, the whole of the world, because God knows it needs it. Thank you, all of you who have participated in and contributed to continuing to make this place and the experience that happens here every day increasingly refined, increasingly rich and meaningful. Thank you. For all of us, I wish a very healthy coming trip around the sun. We have some responsibility in that. Really do try to take care of yourself physically. I wish you, every prosperity. And I would say to that prosperity actually has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with, where you live in yourself every single day. Richness of spirit, fullness of heart, that's where an abundant life comes from. It doesn't come from a job, in case some of you have jobs, haven't noticed. It doesn't come from a job, and it doesn't come from the money that a job brings you. I wish you every blessing, and you have to understand that for blessings to nourish, there has to be an open heart. Past year was pretty amazing, wonderful, intense year. I hope for all of us the next year is even more meaningful. Namaste to you all.